The Undercountry Music News is an excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, which features music from great country artists you won't hear on mainstream radio, as well as a roundup of the most interesting country music news of the week without all the fluff. To listen and subscribe to the full weekly episode, please visit undercountrymusic.com or simply subscribe to the Undercountry Music Podcast on iTunes. Let's get into it. All right, you got it? All right, good, because it is time now for the Undercountry Music News. Yeah! Kind of stammered over my words there for a second. Been a couple weeks since I've done that one. I used to do this show every single week like clockwork, and it got just frustrating because I know it sounds hard to believe, but it is hard to find 4 somewhat newly released, independent, or lesser known country music songs that don't suck. And I need at least 4 of them to do my show. And you know, I get a lot of crap. It takes me a while to sift through crap in order to bring you this show. So, you know, I figured I'm going to stop busting my hump every week. And, you know, I would sit around, you know, after I get it off, I take a week off, then I start looking around for new country music. And, you know, I put a new episode out once I get 4 songs that don't suck. And, you know, that's how I'm doing it these days. And if it takes a couple weeks to get a new episode out, takes a couple weeks to get a new episode out, and I just don't care. I'd rather put a new episode out every couple of weeks and have it be good than to force it every week and, you know, have it not be as good. I like quality over quantity, and I know that's not usually the magic formula for audience building and all the, you know, focus group stuff I've seen about how to grow your audience in podcasts, you know. Matter of fact, the rhythm that they say to grow your best audience is to do like 2 or 3 shows a week. I just can't do that. You know, maybe if I was getting, you know, lots of money thrown at me, or at least some money thrown at me, and I had a bigger well of artists to choose from, and I could go through a pile and find 4 good songs a little quicker than I do now, you know, then that might happen somewhere down the line. But as of right now, I'm cool as a cucumber, bringing you Undercountry Music and Undercountry Music News, which is the portion of the show where I go on to Google and I type in the 3 little words every country babe loves to hear: country music news. And interesting thing I found is that many of these country music news outlets that appear on the first page of Google don't have much in the way of country music news. They've got a lot of fluff pieces, a lot of press releases, and just a lot of junk that they've just to fill up space. But usually I can find 1 or 2 good stories that are actually newsworthy and worthy of bringing to you. So I get 1 or 2 from this website, 1 or 2 from that website, so on and so forth, until I've got, you know, a good chunk of the essential real country music news, and then I can bring it to you so that you don't waste your time bouncing around to all these places. I've done that work for you. I am your country music news concierge. Oh, now there is one last little tidbit of business to get to before we get into the country music news of the week or 2 past. And that is that if I go onto a website that purports to have country music news, and they are on the front page of Google purporting they have country music news, but I go on there and it's just all junk and fluff. Like, you know, what does Brett Eldredge like to scratch his back with? You know, or, you know, remove the hair from his ears with, his favorite ear hair removal tool or something like that. If that's the best they can do, I reward such terrible websites with the dreaded undercountry music news wet belch of the week. And it sounds a little something like this. Yes, that was a real belch from me just now. I do have the ability to belch on cue. It's one of the many talents I have. But belches are like snowflakes. No two smell exactly alike. Anyway, let's get into it. I got to tell you, warning here, I got a lot of sad news in here. The first story is not sad, but I got a lot of sad stories coming up. But anyway, our first story is not sad. Our first couple stories are not sad ones, so that's good. We are going to start off on a little positive note here. Over at CMT, they have a story that Tim McGraw, fresh off his role in the movie Tomorrowland, which was a pretty cool movie, by the way, has apparently still got that acting bug, and he is set to star in a new faith-based film, no pun intended to his wife, called The Shack. Also no pun intended to his wife. Okay, anyway, apparently this movie is about a guy who listens to God to uncover clues about his daughter's murder. Well, alrighty then. Also, the #1 country album this week, according to CMT, and, well, everybody else who follows this stuff, like Billboard.com, it does belong to Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard's Django and Jimmy album. You know what? I got to listen to this entire album about a week ago while I was on the can. I push play and let it stream over by the sink while I, stunk up the room there. And I got to tell you, it was, if anything were fresh about that room, it was that album. It's easily the best country album I've heard in a very long time. But, then again, I can't remember the last time I listened to an entire country album. Anyway, it was really good. Now, was it the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life? No, it wasn't. But it was really, really, really good. And these guys absolutely deserve to be at the top of the charts once again. #1. And I bet you don't and won't hear any of these songs on the radio, which is unfortunate. But nonetheless, Willie and Merle are on top of the world once again, and all is right with the world once again. Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Merle. By the way, there were parts of that album that just knocked me on my butt and said, wow, that's good stuff. So, I fully recommend get a listen on that album, okay? Anyway, we're going to go over to Taste of Country. This one's a sad one, okay? Joey and Rory, the country duo, they could be used in your prayers right about now, as Joey Feek is once again battling cervical cancer. And this is just 1 year after the birth of their first child. Everyone, let's lift them to the Lord before our heads hit the pillow tonight, if we could, please. And, more bad news from the world of country music. Thunder on the Mountain Music Festival, which was to be held from June 26th to June 28th on Mulberry Mountain in Ozark, Arkansas, has been canceled. Carrie Underwood and Zach Brown were slated to be headliners at this festival, along with many, many, many other top country acts. No reason has yet been given for the cancellation, other than it was not due to sponsors. And according to the story on Taste of Country, the refund process for those who have already bought tickets was not made clear on the website for the festival, at least not at the time of the publishing of that story. Anyway, moving on. Country Weekly. And this week's country music news, it just keeps getting suckier and suckier, as the legendary Grand Ole Opry star Jim Ed Brown has died of cancer just 1 week after being inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. He's probably best known for his song, Papa Top. He was 81 years of age. God rest you, Jim Ed Brown. TheBoot.com is reporting that James Otto has signed with Blaster Records, which is probably best known as the label home of Montgomery Gentry, who also have some new music out recently. All right, moving along to Country Standard Time. This website is typically more of a roll call of the smaller stories in country music, but usually has a lot of interesting stuff, They do a lot of stories on people who are kind of footnotes in country music. But it's pretty cool. But a lot of the interesting stuff, such as country singer Randy Howard, has been killed in a shootout with a bounty hunter. Wow. And Brett Eldredge is about to drop his second album. Wow. 2 tragic stories right in a row there, huh? Read all about it at Country Standard Time. Right, and we're going to wrap it up here with Rolling Stone Country, who are have a story over there, article, but Don Henley of the Eagles getting ready to release a country album called Cass County. It will feature such guests as Merle Haggard, Mick Jagger, Alison Krauss, Miranda Lambert, Martina McBride, Ashley Monroe, Dolly Parton, Lucinda Williams, and Trisha Yearwood. Now, I hope it's all new original stuff and not covers or redoing his past hits or anything stupid like that, which a lot of stars do when they trot out, the A-list, guests. It's usually rehashed, redone songs. So I hope this is all brand new original stuff. I would certainly hope so, because it's, the article says he's been kind of working on it in and out of studios for the past 5 years. I would hope 5 years of work is more than rehashing old stuff. And, well, I look forward to it, and I hope it doesn't suck. The early Eagles albums that were more on the countryside certainly did not suck, and it would be nice to hear Don Henley getting back to some of that stuff. And guess what? Nobody gets the belch today. It's a belchless show, other than, the demonstration belch I did earlier. And this has been your Undercountry Music News! Thank you for listening to the Undercountry Music News. The Undercountry Music News is just a small excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, where I play music and have great interviews by lesser-known original country acts. Get on over to undercountrymusic.com where you can listen and subscribe. Stay under, stay country.